friends. We are here today. I always have this weird pause whenever I start any stream. It's ridiculous. But we are here today to discuss Volume 7 of Berserk. It's in the Deluxe Edition 2. And so, for those of you following along, yes, the OG version that Joe has showing up. So yeah, so we're here today to do that, and so we'll start off with some introductions. Joe, will you tell us a little bit about you and your work?
I'm J.C.M. Byrne. I'm author of Wistful Ascending and part-time YouTuber and lover of Berserk since way back in the day.
Nice.
Enjoying the reread. For me, it's a reread. So.
And Varsha?
Hi, I am Varsha. I have a YouTube channel called Reading by the Rainy Mountain, which I am terribly slacking off on at the moment. I have made more appearances on Steve's channel than I have on mine. But yes, I have read some manga before, and I'm really enjoying reading through Berserk for the first time.
Nice. Yeah, and so we talked a little bit last week about kind of the silliness that it had, because it's a very serious story, a very serious topics and themes and everything, and then you have these weird kind of cartoonish, Looney Tunes style facial expressions and kind of this humor, and I felt like there was a lot of that in this one. Did you guys find the same?
Yeah, I agree, and I remember thinking back to what you said, Joe, about those images. But that feels out of place in the middle of this page. So yeah.
Casca does one in particular when she's facing off against what's his name in the keep towards the end of the volume, and she does the the featureless face with the weird expression. The thing is, it's part of the manga artistic language. So I suspect that to a Japanese reader, it's less striking. Yeah.
I think I found it.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's just it's a stylized thing, but it really, it still seems. I think it would feel less weird if he did it. I feel like he should do it either more or less. Pick the amount it's in there.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's jarring.
Yeah, if it was consistent, it'd be different, but it's not consistent, so that's what's kind of weird about it. Yeah, like you said.
Right.
Yeah, it stands out. It's not a style that we saw from the beginning. I think the first time we saw it was maybe the first time I remember seeing it at least was in the last book. And then it was just a lot more of it here. I don't know, do you think it was more pressure to follow existing styles, and so he threw a few in here to make his editors happy, do you think? Or was he just trying something out?
I think we saw it early but only with Puck.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Puck we got
he would make the funny faces even in the first, maybe not the first volume, but somewhere in those first few. Because we haven't seen Puck, and he's not in the Golden Age,
right?
But in those first few volumes, I feel like I'd have to look, but I feel like we saw Puck do it. So I think it's part of the artistic language of manga. It's really, it's almost easier to find a manga that doesn't do it than hard to find a manga that doesn't do it at all. Some do it a lot, some do it less.
Yeah.
I thought the art in this volume. I'm being overly, and this is coming from a guy who can't draw at all. I shouldn't be criticizing other people's artwork, but I was less impressed by this volume than the last one. Everything seemed a little less. Maybe I'm just getting so much. You see so much amazing art. You're like, oh, another gorgeous painting, whatever. Maybe I'm just getting inoculated to it. But this one seemed less striking than the last volume, the last few.
It seemed like there was a lot of focus was paid to certain pages and certain scenes. Really, there was this one of the castle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is.
That's
tons
good.
of detail. And then there's other sections that looked like they kind of they focused more time on certain pages and certain layouts, and they kind of a lot of the ones kind of it's good enough. Yeah. But again, I can't draw stick figures, so who am I?
I thought the rhino armor, the general's armor, that was really well done. I loved those pictures. I think they were at the beginning of a chapter. There were no spreads in this one, were there? Except for the one that you showed, Steve. I don't recall seeing that many
I think
either.
there might have been a battle spread or two, like this one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel there's a lot of very like just Guts fighting a bunch of guys, and it's just very homogenous. Not quite Xeroxed, but he's swinging
Mm.
again. Look at the I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did seem to have a different feel to it, like the artwork did. And even there was a little bit of humor mixed in the dialogue and in the text that kind of felt off to me. Maybe just because, like we said about the artwork, it's not that consistent. But am I the only one that noticed that?
But I think maybe I suspect it was deliberate, right? Like we're trying to Guts is in a better place here, right? He even when things are down, you know, he's getting along better with Casca, you know, which kind of mattered to him. He never liked the fact they didn't get along. You know, he's finding a purpose later in the volume. Guts is, you know, considering he's in the middle of a war and he's, you know, half killed, but he's in an emotionally really good, the best place we've ever seen him.
Mm-hmm.
And given the way the series started, probably the best place we will ever see him, because we know how he ends up. It's not in a good place, right? This is like the height of Guts' happiness, I think, or close to it, right? So maybe the lighthearted tone and the lighthearted artwork, like there's a lot of sunlight, there's a lot of stuff happening in the light, a lot of clear skies, you know, and then you compare that to like volume 1, where everything's dark and muddy and it's always nighttime and it's always dark, you know, but he was in a really dark place there, like.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the artwork and the tone they're trying to, because he likes this stuff, you know, he's hanging out with his friends, he's getting to battles, he's getting nearly killed. Casca likes him. Like this is his happy place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, but it's his happy place. He's learning a little more about Griffith. Yeah, everything's good. You know, so it makes sense. I mean, it's, you know, I don't relate personally, but
I hope not.
yeah.
Yeah. I think the conversation at the beginning, the last chapter named Casca, was pretty interesting. And I was thinking that, well, I guess Griffith has spelled out his dream to Guts once about, I guess, world domination or whatever, however he stated it. But I think Casca is referring to his dream in the abstract, and I don't think she really knows what his dream is, but it feels like, yeah, whatever it is, I'll give everything to him. I'll be his sword. And even Griffith is only talking about it in the abstract without talking in a lot of details. I thought that was really interesting. That I guess this is more his magnetic personality that without even needing to tell people what exactly it is he is chasing, people will follow him. Yeah, just that abstract notion of whatever he's chasing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do learn a lot about Casca and why, where that jealousy came from with Griffin and with. So you have to wonder what it is about Guts that made Griffith so attached to him so quickly. So what if he's usually doesn't open up to people that fast or be vulnerable like that? So what is it about Guts that makes him different?
Yeah. I thought that had a simple answer, like the fact that basically his never say die attitude, that he'll fight to the last. But sorry, am I echoing? No. Okay. Yeah, but I think, like you said, Steve, maybe there's more to it than that. Since now that you mention it, I don't think it has a simple answer. Probably.
I'm going to stick to my hypothesis is that he sees Guts as a potential friend in Griffith, in his sense of the word friend. which is someone who will have their own potentially conflicting passion that they will strive for just as hard. Which the only reason he would think that about Guts is because Guts has that never say die, this ferocious will attitude. I don't know what else, and some talent to back it up. I mean, if you're for never say die attitude, but you get killed really quickly, then you have to say die. It's like, okay, nice that you were full of conviction, but now you're dead. But Guts is also really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he doesn't currently have a dream, but when he does, he'd be a formidable chaser of the dream. No. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, I'm going to use him, but if he ever gets a goal of his own, we're this could get interesting. And that's how I see Griffith, and maybe Casca is not quite there, or Griffith doesn't think she is, but he's wrong. Like we don't know the answer to that, right? Like maybe she could be that sort of a person to Griffith, but he doesn't necessarily recognize it for whatever reason. Maybe could be that he just saw her when she was a little kid. It's hard to sense that in a little kid,
right?
Even if it ends up being there later. But yeah, her relationship with Griffith was interesting. The super interesting was the whole the backstory about Griffith selling himself for money for weapons, and like I'm trying to figure out if that was a chink in his armor or part of his armor. Like I'm trying to figure if that's something that makes him stronger or a sign of weakness that he cares enough, or is it just that debasing himself is not important? Like he doesn't care. But he seemed to sort of care because he was like tearing at his skin and stuff.
Yeah.
There was something going on there that I'm still trying to figure out how exactly it fits into the whole picture if it's like a psychology. I'm not quite
I got a bit confused. Sorry for all the timing.
That's all right.
I was sitting here angrily annoyed why you were all late at 1:00. And then I realized that after 12 comes 1, not 2, and I turned off I walked away. So everyone's screwing up today.
I got confused with solar times and stuff like that. I thought it was wrong when it connected at the right time, but I was right. It's just everyone was really on time, I guess. And I thought I was wrong. Anyways, sorry. Please continue.
I'm glad you can make it. We're just talking about Griffith and him selling himself to help fund the army, and whether that's I kind of took that as Griffith is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal, and that's to keep the army funded and keep people fed, and that's just part of it, that he'll go to whatever length necessary to achieve his goal. It's kind of what I took it as. So.
I think that. I think that recollection of Casca that shows the turning point of Griffith, sort of, that he realizes that he needs to do that, like you said, right? And maybe before he was not completely like that, yeah. But then I think when he saw like the kid that died, I think that, because then after it's like, okay, if I'm willing to kill a random kid pretty much for my dream, then I'm willing to do anything for it, pretty much.
But that's not the face of a guy who's just calmly, I'll do anything to achieve my dreams.
No.
That's what interested me, right? Is that picture, right? Is that it's not so simple as, oh, I'll do anything to achieve my goals. Oh, if I'm willing to sacrifice this 10-year-old kid, I'll sacrifice my own whatever dignity or body or whatever for the same goal, and I'm okay with. Like, it's a little more like there's a hint of like, I don't know. There's a hint of something in that face, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard decision, isn't it?
Like, I don't know if it's some hint of doubt, some hint of like, maybe I'm a terrible person for doing this, that maybe him selling himself to this dude was punishing himself for willing to sacrifice a 10-year-old kid on the altar of his very weird and like selfish dream. And he, some self-loathing going on, that I need to be punished because what I'm doing is actually awful. And there's a glimpse right there of this, I don't know.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
I guess it's also interesting whether he's doing that because of, I don't know, feeling disgust at what he did to himself, or because of how upset he is over the dead child. Maybe both.
I kind of thought maybe that he plans to have revenge when he does achieve his goal. Like he's holding it in, but once he has the ability and the power, then he'll be back for these people that kind of take advantage of him or use him now that he'll kind of like, I'm suffering now, but I'll be back and it'll be a bad day for them when I can. That's kind of the way I took it. But
Yeah, that is interesting that it does come back to that governor, I guess. But also, if it's revenge, it's a bit misguided, no? Because he offered himself up, as far as I can tell. But maybe he's still like he needs to take it out on someone else, perhaps. Yeah. But yes, I do see that angle as well. Because like I don't know why else they would tie it back up to, hey, that governor Griffith's coming back there.
and
To
Dan,
me, it
before
felt
you,
like. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to me, it felt like he made the decision, sort of, that he was going to do this sort of thing, and he committed to the path. But it doesn't mean like it's easy for him. Like you can commit to a decision, decide you're going to follow it through, and then still have regrets while going through it, and realize that it's hard for you still, and it probably gets easier for him, I guess, in the years as he continues doing it. But I'm sure, like at the beginning, it doesn't feel great. And yeah, I think one of the things, the reason it does. Wait, actually, I'm trying to remember if we read that part already about the battle to take the fortress. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When he orders the army to not kill him.
Yeah. Okay. So that does. It explains why he's deciding all these things. So that's also one of the reasons why he's coming back, I guess, right? Because we need to know why the governor decided not to kill him in battle, and he does all these weird decisions that ultimately lead him to losing the battle, right?
And Dan, before you came, we were discussing the kind of some of the cartoonish panels and artwork. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I don't know. It's just very manga-like sort of thing. But I'm not, surprised to see them. I just, once you read a lot of them, you start seeing them almost everywhere. It's really rare that you find a manga without a couple of silly bits in the middle, even if it's all serious. Real friend, just a couple of silly expressions or silly panels that clash a bit, but it's sort of expected, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't take you too much out of the whole experience.
I think it's, for me, more trying to square that expression with what we know of the characters so far, because both Casca and Guts are like these really serious types who seem to like very grudgingly smile and then they go off and make these expressions. But yeah, I think if maybe it's also, hey, they're not all serious. Sometimes they can get silly too. Maybe that's what the mangaka is telling us. So I don't know.
Yeah. And trying to think what else was in this chapter. Oh, we learn why Casca is so upset with Guts, with Griffith, and the attention that he pays to him. See, I kind of wonder too, is maybe there is something to Guts being cursed, or there's something about him that Griffith can see that maybe other people can't.
Interesting. And do you think he'd use that somehow, or that's important to him, or he finds a kindred spirit, perhaps?
Kind of think that he just things to him are tools, and I don't know if he really sees them as sincere connections. Is more of just how can they help me achieve my goal kind of the way, but that's the impression I get, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. To Joe's hypothesis about, maybe Griffiths trying to find potential friends, the end of this volume seems to be heading a little bit in support of your hypothesis, right? Like Guts is like, this is my last battle with the band of the Hawk, and I'm going to go off and do something else after this, maybe find my own purpose. And he's realizing, looking at Casca and Griffith, that maybe that's what he's missing, that he also needs a dream, because he speaks admiringly to Casca about it. So I'm curious to see, one, what he thinks he wants to do after this, and two, how Griffith will take it when he says, I'm done, I'm leaving. Yeah.
And it's the happiest we've ever seen Guts. Right?
Oh
He's
no.
like, last battle, kill a bunch more people, and then wander off and figure my own thing out. Maybe he'll open a yoga studio somewhere. And,
Yeah.
and he seems happy, and it's like, okay, we know this doesn't end well.
Yeah.
because we've read the first 3 volumes, it's like, okay, this isn't going to work out. You're not going to get that yoga studio in the mountains that you wanted,
So what was interesting to me about that sequence, though, was that Casca doesn't really have a dream of her own. It's just her dream is to support Griffith's dream, which isn't all that different from what Guts was thinking to himself in the last volume about how he'll just wield his sword for Griffith as long as he is able to. So I don't know, I don't necessarily understand this switch from, I don't have my own dream, because the dream that he's admiring in Casca is exactly what he was thinking in the previous volume. So yeah, I was curious about that.
But I don't think he feels it as much as unequivocally as she does. Like she seems legitimately satisfied as having that as her purpose, is to serve this other person, this other person's vision, and I don't mean that in a critical way, but that's and then I think what Griffith's point was that people like that are nice, but those aren't true friends. The true friend has their own purpose in and of themselves. That's not someone else's. And Guts, I think, is realizing he's not the kind of guy who can be subservient in this way. It's not enough to just, I'm going to be this other dude's tool. That's not enough for him. And maybe it is enough for Casca. Maybe, if things had gone on like this for another year, maybe, or 2 or 5, maybe Casca would have said, I need my own thing too. We don't know now what's going to happen. But Guts, I think, is realizing that's not enough for me. I got to go figure my own thing. And maybe he's somewhat spurred on by that whole friend talk, Guts seems, I don't know, I want to be, I don't want to be anyone's tool. That's not enough. That's not satisfying. And,
Yeah.
To me, it also felt like Guts was, Casca knows what she wants her purpose to be. She's actively making a choice of following Griffith. And Guts was instead just sort of along for the ride. He didn't seek the Band of a Hawk. He didn't say oh yeah, I really want to be here. I really want to support Griffith. He was sort of, found by them, I guess. It didn't feel to me like, again, he decided, I want to support Griffith. That's going to be my dream. That's going to be my...
But he did say that in volume 6. He says it right before Griffith sends him to kill the, what's his name, the general, and he accidentally kills the general and his son. Mm-hmm. Right before that, he says, I'm going to be Griffith's guy. I'm going to be Griffith's right hand. And then he goes and he has to kill that kid, in volume 6.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that, spoiled it. Maybe being someone else's right hand isn't so fabulous, isn't enough, isn't satisfying. And I don't know if Casca's been made to kill that many kids in her various things that we're not her to do. The worst she's ever had to do is lie naked with Guts while he was wounded.
Yeah.
So
he does, I don't know, to me he does feel a bit more passive as compared to the active role that Casca has in deciding that she wants to be supportive, sort of. That's my feeling, but it could be.
Yeah, that makes sense. There was a sort of more, I'll do this until I figure something else out tone to his thoughts, I guess, in the last volume. And I suppose, I think the kid, I guess there's a parallel there with the first chapter with Griffith dealing with the death of a kid as well. So maybe this was Guts' way of saying, I'm not doing this. And Griffith was like, yeah, cool, I'll do more of this, but I'll also throw myself into the mix for whatever it is I'm chasing, maybe.
Not a safe for children world.
No.
Not a safe for anyone world.
Something tells me Guts won't be able to leave this group without something bad happening to him. Kind of.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be an easy separation. I don't know that they'll do anything to him, but something's going to happen before or while he's trying to leave. Can't be that easy.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe I'm
I'd
wrong.
imagine so. No, I'm seeing bad things coming too. It just doesn't feel like Griffith is the kind of person who would let something go. I don't know if we've seen enough yet to think, oh no, he'll want revenge or he'll want to hurt Guts for wanting to leave, but he's going to try to stop him in whatever shape that takes. Yeah. I mean, it may be painful for Guts.
But it'll be interesting because it'll be that conflict where Griffith viewing, is he, is him going head to head with Guts, is that going to be good or bad for his purpose of ruling the world and advancing his army and advancing politically versus his personal feeling and want and attachment towards Guts as a potential friend or as a potential, I don't get a sexual vibe from it, but more than just friendship, that his feelings of attachment to Guts. And you kind of always wonder, how are those going to conflict, and how is he going to handle this? Because he doesn't normally seem to let a lot of attachments get in the way. I like people, but I'm going to send them into battle and let them die. I might feel a little bit bad afterwards if they die, but I'm not going to, But with Guts, he feels really strongly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If we read it,
If it comes to a duel between the two, do you think Guts can win this time? Has he gotten better over the last how many years?
The sword is bigger than the first one, and Griffith is still using the same size sword. So, by Berserk math, clearly Guts can win the
Berserk math.
Yeah, bigger sword.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I can.
We'll talk about swords, I guess. There were a couple of big battles in this section. I don't know if you have any thoughts on them.
Seems like the Griffith volunteering his army to take the castle. I forget the name of the castle, but him volunteering to take it, and it's impenetrable. You wonder if it's a way for him to get attention, or is it what he thinks is the best route to go? So you kind of wonder, is he taking a chance, or is he really just that confident that he can use his group to take the castle? Which we don't know for sure yet at the end of the volume, but it seems like it's working out okay so far.
I mean, he's got a plan,
Mm-hmm.
and you almost feel like he knew who the governor was, and that he would overextend himself going after him because of their past. He always seems to have taken all this into account. Mm-hmm. And then, if he wants the princess's hand, given, his low birth, he's got to pull off some magnificent, and that's right now, right? That's his best shot at a kingdom, is marrying the princess, right? That seems to be what he's working for. And, pulling off a magnificent victory like this has got to be one of the few ways he could even have a shot at that. So it makes sense. And if that's what's happening, that would, roll the dice, try to, take the thing. And again, he's got this inside knowledge that this governor will make mistakes knowing it's him. The guy in charge of the defenses will do dumb things. And that's just the kind of stuff Griffith loves, take advantage of. So.
Yeah, that did feel like he took it into account. I think I got pretty happy when Casca showed up with her army.
Oh yeah.
There was, yeah, I guess the ending of that. I thought for 2 seconds I felt like, this man is just dumb. He just likes to talk, and he surrendered. But then he used that to advantage against Casca.
Yeah, the fish knight guy is so annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I hate him. Like, I don't want him to be in the manga, or I just hate to hate him. I just so ridiculous, and I don't know, like a caricature of I don't know, a cowardly scheming knight or something. So.
Yeah, he's and he has to talk for 2 minutes before anything he does. Like, oh, I have a secret technique handed down to my family for 7 generations.
But it's
And
longer with every technique.
why aren't people killing him while he's doing all that bragging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His technique of playing dead.
Yeah. His yeah, that was handed down secretly.
Is this whole manga through Guts's point of view? Like, is it all close third? Like, do we ever get a section where Guts isn't there? Like, we get Casca telling Guts a story, and we get like the imagery is from her story, but she's sitting there telling Guts a story. Because you can look at this whole thing as just being Guts' perspective on everything, which is why when he's happy, the sky is brighter, and when he's miserable, the sky is darker. Because this is really just Guts is telling him. Maybe this guy wasn't really supposed to be as ridiculous as he was, but Guts was in a pretty good mood, and this guy was around like things that are working out the way Guts likes, bloodshed and mayhem, but it's his kind of bloodshed and mayhem. So maybe he's so ridiculous, it's just Guts feels lighthearted about the guy because he was kind of a comical, foil, and it's not meant to be literal. Maybe. Just came by. I do that as a writer because I always, all my writing is close third, right? There's always one person you're looking over there. It's not I did stuff, but they're looking over one guy's shoulder. And so, everything is from that person's perspective. People are like, oh, this is what's happening. And I'm like, no, that's what he said is happening. But that's his perception. You got to that doesn't mean he's always right, So.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of parts, like when Griffith is talking with the other scheming guy. I don't think Guts ever gets to know that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
But most of them, I think he is there. Even when he's talking, I'm trying to think, when he's talking with the princess on the stairs, not outside the ballroom, but before he leaves for campaign, I think they're waiting for him. So they're at the bottom of the stairs waiting for Griffith to talk with her. So so he is there. I don't know if he's not there in the battle right now, but she could have told him about it later. So it doesn't discount the fury.
And the
but yeah, I think he is in almost every.
Those could also be, if we go with the theory that this is all from Guts' perspective, this could be things that he filled out in retrospect based on what he knows Griffith did later on, perhaps. That, how historical fiction people fill in things that they think may have happened. That is a possibility, but yeah, I don't know if we've seen enough evidence one way or the other.
No, but Dan, you're definitely right, though. Guts was not there for that encounter with Griffith and the Count or whatever, the diplomat dude. He wasn't there, and I don't know that he would have ever really heard that story in detail.
I think it's a fun thing to think, like sort of like those book series where you're like, someone tells you after, it's all from the perspective of these guys, so think about it with a grain of salt. So you can read it in both ways, and it's like a fun sort of mental exercise to think about, what if it was from like what I'm thinking, like the Black Company I'm thinking sort of thing. Like the stuff that's written like a memoir or something like that.
Black Company is great with that. That's a different video series.
Yeah. It's just to say you can read it both ways, and it's like a fun mental exercise to do. What if I think about it this way? What does that mean for the whole story? Or for these characters, something like that, right?
Yeah. I don't remember if it was while reading this or The Curse of the Mistreat, but I found myself wondering about perspective last night. Maybe both. But yeah, so it's really interesting that you brought that up. I was trying to figure out, like, there were some things that maybe it was in this volume that I felt like, oh, maybe we're just getting some information, not all of it. And there might be pieces that we get to put together later on. I have a real quick rant about Guts telling Casca that she's useless and oh, they get their periods too. And then he never eats his words. Like when you put in things like that, you've got to take that back or I'll be angry.
He was trying to save her life.
Yeah.
He didn't really mean it. He was just trying to get her pissed off so she'd leave.
Oh, okay.
Fight harder, right? Like, it's Guts' version of a pep talk.
Okay. I'll take that version.
I think she knows that. She knows he's just saying it to tick her off, to give her like the energy, the adrenaline she needs to like get up and run or whatever to save her. He didn't really.
Okay, good.
And he did like quasi sacrifice himself for her so she can get away. And I think she mentioned something to him about like thank you or something. He said don't look too far into it, or you know, this isn't what you think, just go. Kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, just go away. Like,
yeah.
But you know, he's probably just hiding. He doesn't want to, you know, appear vulnerable or
Doesn't want to blush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or have to be touched. Don't hug me.
Yeah.
I don't like to be touched.
He has to be a manly man. He can't say he's
The
right?
manliest of men.
Yes.
Yes, at all times.
Yeah. But the fight in the woods, I even now without rereading it, I always remember it. It's like one of those moments, like the start of something, sort of. It's like the one of the most memorable battles for me, because it's like almost the first time we see him almost superhuman fighting, sort of thing. Because before it was always a bit more realistic, like, but at that point, that's like one guy against 100 guys or something. It's like sort of mythical Last Stand or something.
That's even more meaningful in like Japanese, you know, the whole 100-man kumite that Kyokushin used to do. So Kyokushin is this martial arts style. I'm going to go on a rant. I trained in like the descendant styles of these guys. So I knew some of the people who were involved in this stuff. Like I trained under them, but I didn't train like this. But it was a big thing. You fight like 100 people one after the other. Wow. Which is like Masayama, who was like the leader of Kyokushin. He had a very tough guy, very much like he's a guy who would kill bulls with his bare hands, you know, and he became almost like a cartoon character, like a living cartoon character. He was like huge in the media, and one of the big things that his students would try to replicate every so often was you fight 100 guys in a row. So that number and that this was like he was like a celebrity star in a celebrity in Japan in a way that no regular martial artist. In a way that like Muhammad Ali was here. Like he wasn't a professional fighter, but it was the same kind of the image he had in the culture. And so that fighting 100 men is like, has roots over there in a way that, you know, I mean, it's impressive to us too, but it means even more. So interesting. Yeah, the anime of that, I still love the anime version of that 100-man fight, even our old anime from the 90s. I liked it. It was good. Very dramatic. It's an easy scene to make dramatic, you know. Yeah, and he's sitting there, of course, with his sword, thinking, meditating.
So he's like a proven warrior now, according to that lore, sort of.
Yeah, even more than that, but yeah, that's a good. Exactly.
Interesting.
And there was I think it was the bandaged general who goes, yeah, there's just two of them, more than two of you, go attack them. I've always been curious about that, like just like there's a comic aspect to it, I guess, that, you know, you want the hero to win, so you only send one person at a time, but like, is it possible that if you send more people, that it won't just crowd out and you can actually succeed in killing them. They also had arrows. I feel like the arrows should have done more damage than they did here.
Yeah. In reality, like the best fighter in the world can't take out at the same time like the 100th and the 101st best fighters in the world. If they fight him at the same time. Like it doesn't really work like that. You might hurt one of them, but you're going down. Like that's just it's not like the best guy could take out 2, 3, and 4 at the same time. Like no, it's not real.
From what I've read, like jumping from just one guy to 2 guys is already like in most cases that's it.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I guess it's possible with a couple, but I mean it gets more and more unlikely the more you add.
I mean, it's not hard to simulate this in drill. I mean, I've done this in drills and sparring. Everyone's got gloves and stuff on, but once it's like 3 people facing you, you're just getting punched in the back a lot. It's like, I'm sorry. That's what happens. Or just like stand back and shoot arrows at him until he falls over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or set fire to things, and then step back and shoot arrows at him, But it was a cool scene.
Yeah, it was. Someone made a comment, I think it was just when Guts and Casca were fighting back to back, about blade wind or something like that. I wrote it down. The phrase they used was blade wind, I think.
Was it there or when Guts was fighting Bascom?
I think I seem to remember Casca being in this scene. Yeah, all I wrote down is blade wind lol, so I don't remember what page.
That's a good note.
Not fighting Bascom, he's fighting the other guy. Yeah, I'm like flipping through trying to find the scene where Guts is fighting like a really big guy, and I'm like, okay, that's like half the book.
Yeah, I think that's towards the second half, right?
Yeah, I think it's in the second half because it's after a note I wrote down about the rhino armor, which is really cool, by the way. But they look so impractical. But they look nice on the picture. Yeah, and I think, I wonder if it was Guts or I thought it was Casca, and that's part of the reason why I got excited about it.
Shoot. I missed it.
Not sure, but I do like Casca's part in this whole section about how she just doesn't give up, just like Guts. She just continues fighting at every opportunity. I mean, I don't know. She is one of my favorite characters, so that is one of the reasons why.
And we needed her to be like, we haven't seen her be competent like on screen enough until this volume, right? Like we saw her, she was like respected by the band. We didn't really see her do a lot, and then she got she had her period, so she got like beaten by this dude because that's what happens in the last volume. But we haven't seen her be like really like good.
Right.
So this was her chance. So we needed her to have a chance to shine, so that we would buy why they all respect her so much. Like it needed to be proven on page. So this was a good chance for that.
And I like that her fights are more realistic than Guts fights. It's something that you're like, okay, I can see that happening, sort of thing. Instead of Guts fighting 1,000 people with a slab of iron, right?
Yeah. He says something about his sword being blunt now, and again, what was that? But he managed to kill 100 people with a blunt sword.
I mean, if you got a sword that big at that point, I don't think it even matters if you're cutting or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that's the explanation he gives, that if you get hit by it even, you're going down. You may not die immediately. Yeah, he does talk us through that.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about medieval warhammers, right? They're like the head of a medieval warhammer is not that big. It's like a bit bigger than a head of a normal hammer. And already those are smashing limbs for armor. So something that size would pulverize any sort of bone it would come into contact with, I believe.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Swinging that thing around.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be a sword. It can be just a length of iron at that point.
Almost
True.
what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is a bigger thing than, let's say, a pole, right? It's a flattened piece. Like if you think about it as a pole, yeah, it would do that kind of damage. So yeah, that makes sense.
This is a weird thing to ask, but in this edition in the hardcover, does it have a certain smell to it?
That's it.
Or is it just me?
I don't.
It has like a distinct smell.
Does it not have just like a new book smell? Or is
No,
it?
it's like, it has like a, I don't know, like a plastic weird smell to it. It's a pleasant smell, but it's just weird. I don't know, it's a weird thing to talk about. But every time I open one, or open the pages, it just has like this, I don't know, something about it.
Oh, and this is an actual sticker. This is not printed. It's raised. Parental advisory, explicit content.
Nice.
Just wanted to point that out. someone at Dark Horse printed the cover and then went, "We better put a sticker on here so kids read it. We don't get in trouble." And they did.
Yeah,
These
this
are plastic.
This one has stickers too, so they didn't start printing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of a shame. That's such a pretty cover.
Yeah, but I think they do it because you can take it off, and it's easier on those raised
Yeah,
covers because
makes
it's not
sense.
like a flat surface, and then you have the nice. I'm wondering on your issue if yeah, you see
Steve
it comes
taking it off
out
on
pretty
camera.
easily. I'm wondering on your issue if maybe because I'm not sure when the parental advisory stickers came on. I thought it was sometime in the 80s, maybe. But maybe the cover was initially designed before they had the stickers, and maybe already had the design. So this was I don't know. I'm not sure. But
no idea.
I thought I remember that those stickers are not like from the 50s or something. They're later. So I wonder if it's something to do with that.
Yeah, I think like what was that, the late 80s, and they were cracking down on like rap music and everything, and they decided to put stickers on everything and inappropriate or whatever. So maybe that was around the same time that they.
Maybe. I don't know when the English issues came out. That's the thing.
This says first edition, April 2005.
Oh, 2005. Okay.
This is volume 7 I'm looking at.
Okay. Then no.
1993, but that must be the copyright for Berserk as a property, 1993 by Kentaro Miura.
Yeah.
And then I think I read these before these came out, because I think I read the scanlations, the online ripoffs.
As most of people that read manga do.
Yeah. Well, you had to, right? These weren't available for a long time.
Even now, most mangas are not available, and you have to read scanlations. And that's what I did, And then when he comes out, you buy the nice edition when he comes out in English, right?
Are those translated by different people? Do you see a lot of difference between the volumes that you're reading now and what you read before?
That's a whole discussion about scanlation. It's a whole scene about like normal people in different groups that often compete to get the same issues translated, and each translates them in a different way and have their own cleaning style of cleaning the images and translating, and some keep it just like there's different ways of subtitling animes. Some people keep it more loose translation. Some people like to put a lot of notes as to what it meant in the original Japanese. So there's a whole discussion on that. And if you are interested, you can find a lot of articles online about it. But yeah, a lot of times there is differences. Most of the times they're small, but sometimes the translator just didn't give a shit, or he was late and needed to get it up or something, and the translation is a lot more loose and not as correct.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it feels like Japanese is a lot more like there's a lot of it's a layered language. So I'm curious about like if you do literal translations on a deadline, like how that reads on the page. So yeah. Not that I know any Japanese, it's just from like just the translations, how they are different sometimes on anime that I watched. Yeah.
As far as I know, there's a lot more implied stuff that you don't necessarily have to put in sentences, but it's implied by the context of a sentence. Just like I think there's no future tense, for example. You need to say in the present tense, but then put tomorrow or something like that to say exactly that it's going to be in the future, not right now.
Right.
And there's other things. Sometimes translators, I assume professional translators don't have that issue, but sometimes can be an issue because kanji can be read in different ways. So they translate a name in the wrong way because they read it one way instead it should be the other one, and other similar things. So there is a bit of nuance to it, but I'm hoping the professional translators that are doing your editions would be a lot better than the amateur ones. That's not always the case, but I would hope so. And then there's also the whole thing about R's and L's, which are exactly the same in Japanese. So like Beherit, you can pronounce it Beherit or Behelit. It's the same thing because there's no differentiation. That's why I think, Joe, you pronounce it Behelit. I say Beherit. But that's just the same thing. It's just depending on what your preference really is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. I think I must have seen an L somewhere in one of the one of the translations. It doesn't mean it's right.
Exactly.
Like
it depends on what translation you get,
yeah.
and it depends on. I've seen both in translations, so.
Yeah.
Huh.
This scene in which Casca asks Guts why he saved her, that felt, I won't say out of character, but this, given how cold she was to him, that demanding to know why he saved her, that felt a bit weird to me. But yeah, I guess that's the kind of scene that you see in most movies before they start, like, oh, I secretly love you, and let's go date together or something. So that like maybe that's the interpretation I had of the scene, so it felt weird. But like, yeah, I was curious what you all thought, or like, am I completely off in reading it that way?
Yeah, it did seem a little weird, but I think she felt like she could a little bit closer to him because of what happened, but Jill's just laughing.
I just read it in more like a comrade way, right? But again, now that you mention it, it is oftentimes portrayed the way you are saying.
I mean, what's more romantic than killing 100 people to save the woman you love? I mean, and when Guts opens his yoga studio and writes his book of dating advice, this is like going to be like chapter 2. Kill 100 men to prove, to her how you feel. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think Guts feels that way about her. It's because later on he doesn't say anything or behave in any way. Well, rather the opposite. It seems like he would want Casca to be with like Griffith or something, right? I don't know.
I think that's a traumatized man who's in love.
Could be. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that.
I think he's in love with her. He doesn't feel worthy of her, and he doesn't feel comfortable receiving affection in any way because he's not. He's still overcoming his own traumas, and I mean, you can, whether I'm right or not, you can certainly read it either way.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen Guts not acknowledge what he's really feeling. To be honest,
yeah,
you can't be a manly man and be in touch with your feelings, right? Those are contradictory.
No. Yeah,
can't do that.
He's a manly man, so he's got a very big sword. He's clearly a manly man. Right?
Big hunk of metal.
Yeah. So for him to be sort of in denial or not willing to admit those feelings would totally be in character.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a brief thought to himself, right? Oh, am I doing this for her? Nah, I'm just doing this to kill people or something to that effect. And yeah, that feels like what you said, denying his feelings or trying to like just whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that. Not, yeah, I maybe it's a reading interpretation thing. Unless it explicitly goes somewhere. But I thought not sparks exactly, but yeah, just some interesting interactions between the two.
And Matt's fantasy book reviews. I just popped in and had to double take when I saw Dan. I thought for a second that I was somehow on your live stream without knowing it. You do look very similar. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, all bald men with a beard look pretty much the same. So, it is true.
A lot of bearded men here. I didn't put it together.
Yeah.
3 out of
Yeah.
You have the full beard though. That's impressive. That's good stuff.
I haven't shaved my face in like 20 years.
Really? It's been that long? 20 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it looked like underneath. So, probably wouldn't like it.
Probably wouldn't like it.
Well, mine is fading. When it gets grayer, it gets harder to see. That's my new problem. This was darker a few years, 5 years ago.
I'm trying to think what else was in this volume.
It was another very straightforward volume. I feel like the last one.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot less where you were like, "What did that mean?" It's more like, "Okay, I know what that meant." It's much more.
Yeah.
There's some revelations, like this whole Griffith in the water was kind of a revelation to his character.
Yeah.
There's the 100-man fight, which is pretty cool.
The campfire analogy that Guts used to talk about how everyone has a dream, but they're getting sucked up into Griffith's inferno, but he doesn't even have a campfire. I thought that was really cool. That sequence I really liked.
Yep. Thinking and waxing poetic while holding his giant sword. That's on his shoulder. His focus, his meditative focus.
And the rest of the chapter, well, the volume is just like the battle and showing the different maneuvers of a battle and what's happening, which is also, I mean, it's also nice to get a break from other stuff, to get a nice straightforward sort of battle.
Yeah.
With a bit of tactics, a bit of battle of wills, battle of wits, I'm saying, between Griffith and...
But you need these, right? You need these to show that Griffith is not just willing to make sacrifices, he's also very competent, right? Casca is very competent, right? You need to show that in these battles. And there's really not that much more than you need. Like they could have gone on for 10 more volumes with this kind of crap. And it probably would have been entertaining, but you don't just get mundane battle after mundane battle for 10 more.
Yeah.
It's not what, I'm not really giving anything away, but that doesn't just continue.
But you could very easily have like a manga series or a book series of just battle with battle and again, like people fighting each other. I don't know, Romance of the Three Kingdoms is almost like that.
It's kind of what the anime did, I think. Like that first anime, the one that came out in the 90s, just added out those battle scenes with more iterations.
Yeah.
I think they even fought the Korbelitz guy more in the anime. I haven't watched it in a while. But the guy keeps going on about has 700 generations of whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's even more with him in that first anime. I'm gonna have to rewatch to try to verify that. I don't know if I have time, but or a DVD player.
You have a book to write, Joe.
I promised the book to my editor. She's like, "Do you want a July slot?" I'm like, "I'll take it." I'm like, "Oh crap, I haven't written the book yet. It's not going to be good."
You can do it.
A few months.
Sounds like a great plan. What can go wrong?
I make bad life decisions. That's how I got to where I am today. It's my brand. So we'll see.
So that was unless there's anything else, I think that was volume 7. I think when it doesn't include like the gods or like mythical stuff, it's pretty straightforward. So there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
There's more depth when there's more of the mythology and gods and stuff. So, but we'll see.
Or maybe just more of, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh, but there is a confirmation that magic is real.
Not. Oh yeah, the elf. Elf.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. So we know the very little magic overtly in this world currently, but we know it exists and is real. We saw the Beherit wink or Beherit wink like a couple volumes ago, and in this volume, the magic dust does impossible things. The elf dust does impossible things.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting very minor, spread out dribbles of information.
A good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but we don't really see the elf, so technically it could still be like a tale, a sort of tall tale, like a merchant selling, it's pixie dust or whatever, and where it's just like a very useful medicine or something.
That's true. That's
technically just like how the Beherit was, like the way it's been described, the way he has it, he doesn't know it's like a magical thing. He sort of keeps it like as a good luck charm, I guess, because that's how it was sold to him by, I think, a merchant or something. He got this like, the person that holds him is gonna, get old fortune, become the king or something, right?
But the eye opens. That's creepy.
Yes.
They poke it. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
We saw Puck do some healing, right? So at least for the readers, it's easy to believe that. Yeah,
the readers seem demon.
Yeah.
In those first 3 chapters, I'm talking about, but since the flashback started, there's really very little. And we saw Zod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Zod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not just a big tough dude. He put his arm back on. And now we got the magic dust. So there's little stuff, and there's a reference to Zod here. It's not much, just to remind us that he's out there. Right? So Guts is like, well, this is scary, but not as scary as Zod.
Yeah.
I remember Zod. You're not forgetting him. So.
But who knows? Maybe there is less magic around now than later, or maybe just we're seeing a smaller part of the world or a different part of the world, right? So we don't really know exactly how.
But we know we're not
related, right?
Yeah.
We know
there's something. Yeah.
We were in volume 1.
Yeah.
Where it was like everywhere, right? This is not that. Something is different. We're in a different place, different circumstance, something.
Or maybe it is everywhere, but we're not seeing it. Because if you're thinking about, I don't know, the first chapters, and you're like in the city of a count, like you wouldn't think the count was magical or anything like that. You would just be, it's just a very sad and dark place to live in, but normal place, sort of.
Could be.
So maybe it's just about, removing the veil that's covering our eyes and everyone's eyes, and everything is magical in the background. Maybe.
Yeah.
And our friend Joseph's here. I've never read any Berserk, but I'm going out to Denver mid-April, and my friend is forcing me to watch it.
Good time, Joe.
Yeah, good stuff. Cool. Well, another good volume. There is a little inconsistencies, but not too bad. I still enjoyed it. But I will be in Virginia next weekend for AuthorCon, so we'll be taking a week off, but I'll be back the following week. And I don't think I can haul this thing around with me all week, so I'll have to get an extra bag for that. But cool. So Joe has a week to write his book, so we'll be good.
So we're doing volume 8 when we're back, right?
Yeah, okay. We'll do volume 8. Yeah. So if you are behind or need to catch up, it's a great time for you to catch up with us and join us. So until then, Joe, will you tell us where people can find you?
jcmburn.com is my website. My YouTube channel, I have no idea, but I'm sure if you search jcmburn in YouTube, you can figure it out. And watch my videos and buy my books, and you can read them too if you'd like, but buy them. Everyone has priorities.
Forget about leaving a review and just buy them. Yeah, just
buy them. After that, whatever you want.
They'll be there.
Check.
That's the most important metric, right? Even if everyone buys it but they hate it, they still bought it.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to read my books, man? It's
Yeah.
$7.50 in my pocket. You know, I can get an ice cream cone with that.
Ice cream money.
I have. You can find me on my YouTube channel. It's called Reading by the Rainy Mountain. If you want direct ways to reach me, the About page has some info.
It's the best outro. Yeah. And Dan?
You can find me, DN Fire, at the page shooting forums if needed.
If you-
Nobody would be, but you never know.
You never know. Never know. Well, cool, everyone. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. And of course, Joe, Varsha, and Dan, thanks for coming by. And we will see everyone here in a couple weeks. Volume 8.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.